So in this video, we're going to talk about multiplication. So multiplication is simply repeated addition. Let's say we have a problem that's 2 times 4. When we multiply, we are adding that number to itself multiple times. So in this case, 2 times 4, we have 2, 4 times, which of course gives us 8. But you can think of multiplication in another way. You can think of them as groups and sets. For example, we have 2 times 4. We have a group of 2 and we have 4 of those groups. So we have a group of 2, group of 2, and we have 4 of those groups. So the first number tells you the size of the group, and the second number tells you how many groups you have. Another thing you have to remember about multiplication is that the order in which you multiply the numbers does not matter. Say, for example, 2 times 4 is the same thing as 4 times 2. And we can even draw it out to see why that is the case. So let's look at the first problem and look at the second problem and see why they're equivalent. So in the first problem, we have two groups, a group of 2, and we have 4 of those groups. So we have a group of 2 and we have 4 of them. In the second problem, we have a group of 4 and we have 2 of those groups. A group of 4 and we have 4 of those groups. If you count them up, you get 8 circles here and 8 circles here. That's why they're equivalent. So why is it important to look at multiplication in terms of multiplying groups? Well, it's because people get confused when they're multiplying numbers close to 0, like 0 or 1. So let's take a look at some examples. Let's say we have 4 times 3. So we have a group of 4 and we have 3 of those groups. So we have a group of 4 and we have 3 of those groups. That makes sense, which gives us 12. Now let's look at 4 times 2. We have a group of 4 and we have 2 of those groups. Which gives us 8. Now let's go down more. Let's say we have 4 times 1. We have a group of 4 and we have 1 of those groups, which gives us 4. Now let's go down even more. Let's say we have a group of 4 times 0. We have a group of 4, but we have 0 of those groups. So we have a group of 4, but we have 0 of those groups, so we don't even have that. So the 4 times 0 would be 0. So let's work a few problems. Let's say we have 4 times 4. Again, we're going to write it in a different form. Instead of drawing it out, because that's a lengthy process, we need to learn how to multiply in our heads. So 4 times 4. 4 times 4 gives us 16. So 4 groups of 4 gives us 16. Let's work another problem. Say we have 14 multiplied by 3. So this problem is asking how much is, we have a group of, how much is 4 times 3? We have a group of 14 3 times. Now the way we do this mathematically is we take this number and multiply it by each number on top. So 3 times 4 gives us 12. So we put a 2 here, and we carry the 10 to the tens place. So now 3 times 1 gives us 3, plus another 10 gives us 4. So 14 times 3 is 42. Again, we start with the first column, then we move over to the second column. We have 23 multiplied by 14. Again, we start with this first number and we multiply it by 3, and then we multiply it by 2. And then we move over to the second column. We multiply the 1 by 3 and the 1 by 2. So let's go ahead and do that. So 4 times 3 again gives us 12. We put the 2 here in the ones place, and we carry the 1 into the tens place. Now 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 gives us 9. Now we move over to the tens place, and because we're moving to the tens place, we need to put a placeholder in the ones place so we don't screw up our place values. So now we multiply 1 times 3 gives us 3. 1 times 2 gives us 2. And then we add them together. It gives us 2. 9 plus 3 is 12. We carry over the 1 to the hundreds place, and then we add these two. 1 and 2 is 3. So 322 will be our final answer. So why do we do this? Why do we have two numbers that we add together? Well, this first number represents 4 times 23. This first number represents 4 multiplied by 23, which is what we did, 4 times 23. And the second number represents 10 times 23. So 10 times 23. So we add all these up to get the complete answer. So let's work another problem. Let's say we have 123 multiplied by 253. Again, we start with the first number, multiply it by every number in the top number, then we move over to the second number, multiply it by every number in the first number, and then we move over to the third and do the same thing. So let's start with the first. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 1 is 3. So now we move over to the second number. Because we're moving over to the second number, we need to put a placeholder in the first number, in the ones place. So 5 times 3 is 15. So we put the 5 here and carry over the 1. So now 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11. So we put the 1 here and carry over the 1. So 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. Now we move over to the hundreds place, and because we're doing that, we need to put a placeholder for each one of these for the ones and the tens. So we put a ones placeholder and a tens placeholder. And then we continue multiplying. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4. And 2 times 1 is 2. So now we just add these up. 9 plus 2 zeros is 9. 6 plus 5 is 11. Put the 1 here and carry over the 1. 6 plus 3 is 9. Plus 1 is 10. Plus 1 is 11. So another 1 here and carry over the other one. 6 plus 4 plus 1 is 11. So we put a 1 here and put a 1 here. And then we 1 plus 2 is 3. So the answer is 31,119. And again, We get the reason we add these numbers up because we divided our multiplication. Instead of multiplying 253 times 123, we multiplied 123 times 3, then we multiplied 123 times 5, then we multiplied 123 times 2, and then we're adding them together. So 369 was a result of 3 times 123. The 6,150 was a result of 5 times 123. And 24,600 was a result of 200 times 123, and this is actually a 50 because it's in the tens place. And yeah, and we just add these up to get the total answer.